I believe that Brandon Johnson, by a long shot, from all optics, and of course, we can't include all of the small town city mayors because there's probably hundreds and thousands of them across the United States of America. But as far as major city mayors, even Eric Adams came and brought himself back to the front of the congregation. And he said, listen, guys. It is not in the New York City's best interest for you guys to continue to bring yourselves into the city. We need to cut off the faucet. Shout out to Marriage, Politics, and Sports. I'm going to read that super chat shortly. He said it is not conducive for you guys to bring yourselves into this city because we can't afford it. It don't make sense from it, even though I said that we was a saint. What is wrong with the likes? Y'all ain't got the likes up? We got over 1,400 people in here and counting, and y'all ain't got the likes up? What is going on in these streets? Come on, fam. Y'all know y'all being disrespectful right now. Come on, get your lives together. All right, I had to go and check that real quick just to make sure we was all on the same page. What is going on with the likes? Anemic. Anyways, I believe that Brandon Johnson is quite possibly the worst mayor in Chicago's history and the worst mayor in the United States of America by far. If you can think of another current sitting mayor, that is now governing today that is worse than Brandon Johnson. And don't worry, I'm working on a whole compilation of different mayors. I got to go over to Atlanta. I got to see what's happening in Denver. I heard St. Louis need to be brought to the front of the congregation. We know what's going on in Philadelphia, but he tried. New York doing what they do. They continue to tax the city residents and then make sure that the Airbnbs are shutting down everything. We gonna get there. What I'm trying to see, you say Brandon Johnson gonna pull up on me? He's supposed to be a God-fearing man. What I'm trying to understand is, do you think, and maybe I should put a poll up, maybe this should be a Friday conversation, is Brandon Johnson quite possibly the worst mayor in Chicago's history and the worst sitting mayor of any large city in the United States of America? I'm just curious. Let me go ahead and get into it because first I want to bring y'all up to speed on what's going on in Chicago before we can really start to hold Mayor Brandon Johnson accountable for his actions. Now, I know a lot of y'all going to be in y'all feels on this because you feel like Anton is not being fair to the city of Chicago. So, in order to frame this to help you to understand and see it from my perspective, I'm going to first help you to understand of what's happening at our borders and why we're so adamant about making sure that we secure our borders and don't become sanctuary cities. So, this is what's happening at our borders currently.
Here at home, there are some newly revealed threats on our southern border. Our Allie Bradley joining us right now since this alarm is being sounded over disturbing messages threatening the very people who process migrants who are coming into our country. Allie, what exactly are these messages and where do they come from?
Yeah, Adrian. So right now we're still working to get some more details, pretty limited right now, but these messages were actually going viral and CBP intercepted them and actually sent out an alert to Border Patrol telling them to be on high alert and to make sure that they have their body armor and their long rifles with them as well, because these messages were actually soliciting Border Patrol information like their addresses for money. They were also asking for the addresses of their relatives, even going as far as saying that this individual would post whatever videos of torture of these agents that they actually would obtain. So really, really dark stuff here that these agents are dealing with. And of course, this comes as there are heightened concerns along our southern border as well. Of course, with the attacks in Israel and the threat of Hezbollah in North Israel potentially being a threat for them as well. We're looking into who are the people that are crossing our southern border right now and what are their intentions intentions. Are they here for a better life, or do they want to do us harm? So we looked through some data that we were able to obtain from our sources within Customs and Border Protection. And what we are able to find is that CBP actually encountered more than 8,000 migrants from special interest countries at the southern border in September. That's actually up more than 1,000 from the month prior. Now, these special interest countries like Lebanon, Iran, and Syria, they're areas identified by our government that present a national security risk, many of them with links to global terrorism.
So let me bring y'all back to the front of the congregation because I want to help you to understand what's going on in the United States of America. When you said, no, everybody is coming in peaceful and they just want a better life because they're from a displaced country or a displaced city or whatever, so on and so forth, and you fought against it and you said, well, no, we don't want to close our borders and we're going to vote against Trump because we just don't like the fact that he said that he liked to get some box from some chicks, right? Understand this, and I want y'all to really get it. I believe that if anything was to ever happen, then you have to be responsible for it. What they're basically communicating to you is that just in the month of September alone, they've ran into and intercepted, and this is just what they've encountered, over 8,000 migrants from special interest nations that essentially are identified by our federal government as places that bring in people that's not best for the country, right? And people was just walking on in here, walk on. Not only did they walk, they got a ride to their destination. Now, of course, a lot of you are familiar with the idea, and you don't know why, but you're familiar with the idea that they have a war going on between Israel and Hamas, right? And Israel is being supported, and they're getting weapons, and they got their first shipment from the United States of America, and we had these conversations about war stocks, right? And Hamas is looked at as the people that are inflicting pain against Israel, which the United States supports, okay? Just bringing it down to you, helping you to understand, giving you the cliff notes so that you don't have to watch all of the videos. Now, on top of that, we don't know who, what, when, where, why, and how. And in addition to not knowing anything about most of these people that are in our country, we're giving them jobs, we're giving them opportunities, we're taking care of them, educating their children, giving them health care coverage. Don't know what the objective is, haven't vetted them effectively, don't even know where they're from or what their intention was. But everybody just walked on in and we gave them a ride. We gave them a ride to wherever it is that they wanted to go. You want to go to Chicago? You get it. You want to go to New York? Gotcha. Atlanta? Fine. Denver? Awesome. El Paso over to Texas, over to your favorite city in Texas, over in Houston? Yep. Arizona? Florida? Florida said, we getting you up out of there. We got to send a bus over to Chicago. Okay? So now, not only that, they're trying to find the names, addresses, family members of the Border Patrol agents and the customs agents. And this is messages that's being intercepted and now being communicated on our nation's news. Okay? So, A, we don't know who's in here. And come on, man. I don't believe for 1 second that we don't know what the heck is going on. I believe that you guys have just been incentivized to do the thing that's not in your best interest, but we'll get there. So, A, we got a bunch of people over here that we don't know what their intentions is and we don't know where they're from. We've intercepted some of them, but the rest of them, who can say, right? B, they got a ride over to where they needed to go. C, the United States is supporting and sending over weapons and money over into a space where we don't really know where the money coming from. We don't know if it was a part of the, budget, whatever. And then D, we also know that you guys voted against securing our borders and then continuing to beef up the protection of the United States of America. Cool. Let's continue.
Patrol reporting encountering more than 76,000 people from special interest countries in the last fiscal year. That's more than 3,000 people from Egypt, over 450 from Iran, 375 from Syria, 114 from Lebanon, and more than 150 between Iraq and Yemen. Now, officials down here are on high alert. They're watching for terrorist organizations. Adrian, of course, we know that they would seek to exploit that southern border. We've been reporting it for years that the border is porous, and of course, they want to exploit that.
Ali, real quick question for you. So are you saying that these messages that have been uncovered are somehow linked to potential terror groups that could be compared to Hamas?
No, I don't know if there's any link to
Look
Hamas
at
or
this.
this war with Israel here, Adrian. It's just in kind of conjunction with what's happening and the heightened alerts down here on the ground. But for them to receive messages like that threatening them and their livelihood and their safety as well, while they're also on heightened alert for potential terrorists crossing the southern border, that's a lot for them to be able to manage and also do their job at the same time. So that's one of those things. But this was just an alert that came out this week that we were able to obtain from an internal memo.
Just to make sure that you guys are not surprised. So let's continue. So now that we know that what's going on, Eric Adams said, you know what? Let me bring myself back to the front of the congregation, even though I made a mistake, a huge one, which I still don't think that he should be mayor of New York, but I'm not in New York. You guys like to vote blue. You do what you do. And then we going to go ahead and criticize you for it. Eric Adams was recently asked a question about what was going on in his city and the potential for violence as a result of our open borders. And then more importantly, what's going on over in Israel, between Israel and Hamas. Let's take a look at that really quickly.
Yes.
I just want to follow up.
Yes.
Because you mentioned Lone Wolf. There was that instance where there was that bomb-laden car in Times Square. This could be an opportunity for somebody.
Did y'all know about a bomb-laden car in Times Square? Are y'all familiar with that? Because that's what this reporter is basically asking. The reporter is basically asking about a bomb-laden car in Times Square. Did anybody know anything about this? Is anybody familiar with it? Did it just fly under the rug? Did no news outlet pick it up? When did this happen? Where did it happen? She just asked the question over to Eric Adams, and Eric Adams is going to answer her.
Related to anything in Israel, just to act out.
Yes.
So what should New Yorkers be aware of? What should they be looking for? And when do they call, see something, say something?
Well, this is definitely a moment where you don't want to live your eyes living in your phones. You need to be conscious of your surroundings. This is a very heightened period right now. You should be conscious of your surroundings.
And now y'all looking at the date. This is from 2 days ago, October 10th, 2023. This is not old. This is not old news. This is not from last year. This is not the year before. This is a conversation that was just being had 2 days ago.
And really, when we look at the New Year's Eve, I don't think people realize how well the police department responded to that threat. They terminated the threat, and they went on to protect the thousands of people who were celebrating New Year's
So it happened in New Year's. So in New Year's, this is something that was happening. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Have cases where people will let off a bomb or something and then have a secondary device. And what the police department did, they made sure that they did not just focus their attention on that threat, which was a horrific threat because officers were injured. They immediately went back to protecting the entire city. And that's the same case here. And so, lone wolves are real. And they can get radicalized online, and they would carry it out in action, particularly when a call is placed out there to do something harmful. And so we must remain vigilant, but we need New Yorkers to be vigilant with us. It's a partnership to ensure the safety.
So Eric Adams is basically saying, listen, be on high alert. If you see something, say something. We're not putting anything past anybody. We don't know who is who. And then make sure you stay on your P's and Q's because we don't know what could happen. All we know is that we're trying to prepare ourselves for the possibility of what can happen. So now that I've prefaced this for you by being able to give you some insight and understanding of what's going on and why what's happening overseas is also potentially affecting what we got going on here, especially with our open borders, I like to just summarize it for you, give you the Cliff Notes to see students' perspective. Let's move back over to Chicago because we have to bring Brandon Johnson to the front of the congregation. Don't we?
We have gotten to the point where we don't even have enough shelter beds. And even though we are opening a shelter every 6 days, we just can't get in front of it.
As temperatures drop, time is running out to get thousands of migrants indoors. Tonight, another community meeting was held, this time in the West Loop. In the meantime, the mayor is allocating millions for migrant aid next year. Plus, shocking revelations about the migrant busing program. Casey Cronus has the latest from the West Loop.
A top city official says those buses are dumping far more than dozens of migrants here, and what they are leaving is now a health concern officials are working to address.
Now we have buses that once they drop off at our landing zone, they dump all their sewage in front of our landing zone. So this is the type of behavior that we are encountering.
As the city faces new...
So, Chicago, as the buses come in, and they're offloading more migrants than ever before, even though we've warned you of this and we've seen it happening. And not only that, they're dumping all of the sewage from the journey from down at the southern border to get you over to Chicago, and they're dumping the sewage right there where they drop them off. Let's continue.
Challenges tied to migrant busing. The mayor's deputy chief of staff is calling for a single point person at the federal level to help.
Just in the last week alone, we welcomed 63 buses. This is purely a political stunt.
During his budget address, Mayor Brandon Johnson blamed Republicans for wanting to create chaos in Chicago.
But I don't flinch in the face of challenges, and neither does the city of Chicago.
Every 6 days, Chicago is opening up a new migrant shelter. Every 6 days, according to this report, Chicago is opening a new migrant shelter. 63 buses in less than a week. And Chicago is not flinching. Pointing the blame, giving us word salad, blaming Republicans, but not taking accountability and not being responsible to the residents in which you serve. Let's continue to hear Mayor Brandon Johnson break down how it is that we need to be looking at things.
Johnson wants to put at least $150 million towards services for new arrivals next year. Now, the city is still looking for what it's calling turnkey properties and has picked 2 more shelter sites in the West Loop. Families with children have already started moving into 30 North Racine, while single adults will be calling 939 West Lake Street home for now. Some aren't happy with the move.
If you're going to be a sanctuary city, which I don't think I ever voted for, there's a lot of finger pointing and a lot of blame.
Others are offering support.
We live in a incredibly booming, prosperous part of the city. The least that we can do is be generous with our space.
While many still have questions.
It's an uphill battle, but what is the short, mid, and long-term plan?
This meeting came just...
I want y'all to focus on one part. Let me back up for a minute.
In the face of challenges, and neither does the city of Chicago.
Johnson wants to put at least $150 million towards services for new arrivals next year.
There will be no cutting off of the faucet. Johnson wants to put forth at least $150 million towards servicing, promoting, helping, advocating for migrants coming into the city for next year. Let me replay it for the people in the back. It might be some people that just got here right after his speech.
Johnson wants to put at least $150 million towards services for new arrivals next year.
For new arrivals. So this has nothing to do with what the money has already been budgeted for the people that they servicing now. New tent city, new migrant shelter, opening every 6 days, over 60-something buses every single week. At some points, they're anticipating at least 25 buses a day. He said that we don't cower in the face of problems. Chicago is here. Chicago is going to be. Even Eric Adams, he runs the biggest city in the United States of America And it's crazy. And Chicago says, listen, I see you one and I raise you $1 million. They said, listen, we're going to allocate $150 million next year, because this year is almost over. We almost in the fourth quarter, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to allocate at least $150 million. He said at least. He didn't say it was limited to. He didn't say that was the cap. He says at least $150 million for new arrivals. That has nothing to do with servicing the old arrivals. Has nothing to do with managing what they already have. Has nothing to do with putting together a comprehensive plan for short, mid, and long-term solutioning for continuing to be a sanctuary city. So now, here's my question. Where do they get this extra $150 million from? If they're already $684 million in the hole as far as having a budget deficit and growing, and they're also continuing to welcome into to Chicago people that we don't even know what their intention is, how do you think that this is going to play out, and why do you think that the residents are willing to accept this? Because I see a lot of people coming up on my show. They call in, they say that they got a disagreement with me. Everybody that got a disagreement with me is from Chicago. How's that? Everybody that got a disagreement with me is from Chicago. What is going on? You guys have hundreds of thousands of migrants, and you are trying to house them, clothe them, feed them, give them shelter, healthcare coverage, educate their children, and then make sure that you clean up after them. And then you're allocating an additional $150 million for next year for any new arrivals that may be coming in. You're taking in buses, and then Mayor Brandon Johnson has no solution whatsoever on how to solve for this crisis, but y'all just continue to vote for these people. How? How do y'all continue to let these people get away with it? Why do y'all think that this is reasonable? Y'all don't have the infrastructure. You don't have the housing. Cost of living is too high in Chicago. Crime is out of control. You got a war going on between Israel and Hamas. They sending out alerts. They saying that a lot of people don't even know who got in here and who didn't get in here. Come on, man. Somebody got to explain something to me. Somebody got to help me to understand why I'm off, why I shouldn't still be bringing Chicago, their voters, and Mayor Brandon Johnson to the front of the congregation. Let me see something. Give me a second. I just got to know what's going on. Chicago Mayor's Office. Call Mayor's Office. Got to go to the source. Shout out to O Block. Is there another number? Why the mayor ain't answering the phone?
Hello, Cisco Unity Connection Messaging System. From a touch-tone telephone, you may dial an extension at any time. For a directory of extensions, press 4. Otherwise, please hold for an operator. Sorry, the operator is not available. Record your message at the tone.
We'll get them on the line. I'm just wondering what the hell is going on in Chicago. Well, we'll get there. Hi, my name is Anton Daniels, and I was just looking for a little bit of clarification. I don't know if there's anybody that can help me from the mayor's office.
Okay.
So no, I'm trying to understand with regard to the whole sanctuary city migrant crisis because I'm a potential developer and I was really curious about developing in Chicago, and so I'm a little bit more hesitant right now, and I'm trying to understand exactly what the long term plan is for the migrant crisis, considering that I was considering moving there. I'm over from Detroit, and I'm trying to figure out what the if it's conducive for the business to actually move over to Chicago, what the long term plan is for the city.
Hold on one moment, please.
Okay.
And you wanted to move as well as move your business to Chicago.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. May I have your name, please, sir?
Anton Daniels, Anton.
Daniels.
That's right. That's correct.
Oh, okay. And your phone number, sir?
Give me a second.
Thank you. And then is there an email address you'd like to share?
Yes, ma'am. You can use Anton Daniels 413@gmail.com.
Thank you very much. I will get your message to our staff that is actually working on that at the moment and have somebody contact you back.
I appreciate you. And what was your name again?
My name is Erica.
Thank you, Erica. You're so sweet.
You're very welcome, Anton. No problem at all.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Such a sweet girl. Such a sweet girl. Shout out to Erica, because I'm just curious. Listen, don't make me pull up on Mayor Brandon Johnson in Chicago and ask some investigative questions. I don't want to just make no phone calls. I need to know what is going on. Look at Miss K feeling some type of way. Why y'all worried about what's going on over here? We good over here in the city. I need to know what's going on with the worst mayor in America. Voted worst mayor in America. Voted worst mayor in America. I don't know what's going on with Chicago, and I need to know what's going on. Lamar said every Erica he know got cheeks. I'm going to Chicago. Should I go to Chicago this weekend? Give me a second. Because I'm supposed to be doing a Patreon live stream. Let me just double check something real quick. Hey, I'm on a live stream. Do we got anything that's on the calendar that's pertinent this weekend that we need to attend to? Because I'm thinking about going to Chicago and finding out what's going on.
Wow, I was just texting you to say that.
Go to Chicago and see what is happening in the streets.
Yep.
I ain't taking you with me.
Say what? Say huh?
I'm not taking you with me. It's too dangerous in Chicago. Do you know what's going on there? They got a crisis. They got O-Block. Chief Keef moved away. Everybody in Chicago is in despair, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
I'll be fine. I'm from Joy Road.
No. This is not a safe place for women. Women and children need to run from Chicago immediately.
I'll be fine.
I'll think about it. Let me talk to my people on the internet. Bye. Should I have an impromptu meetup in Chicago? Should we be protesting what's going on at the mayor's office? Do we need to get our signs out? Let me see when Erica called me back. We're going to see what's happening.